What up, what up, what up? Shout out to everybody in the Homies Hub. Shout out to all the homies. Shout out to all the new viewers that's tuning into this video. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as we get into this topic. This topic might piss some of you guys off. Some of you guys might agree. It's all going to be dependent on you, but I did want to at least have this conversation. We are out here enjoying the weather. All right, we're enjoying the sun. We're staying active in the gym. So, I do like the fact that I'm out here in the Philippines. But without further ado, let's get into the topic. I did make a list of top things that I wanted to talk about. So, I just got done watching O'Shea Duke Jackson's video where he was reviewing Sunshine Shoulders, right? And I would say, despite the fact that I'm 29, I'm not that young anymore, but I'm not really middle age. I think I'm just getting into my prime for real. I've been traveling now for the last year and a half. I've been traveling consistently nonstop. I've only been in the States for about 3 weeks for the entirety of 2025. And I would probably say, I think I could say I've learned a lot of things. Some people might call me a baby traveler. They're saying, you're a baby traveler, you're still new to this, but I've actually been living overseas for some time. And I think, you don't need to live overseas in the Philippines, in Colombia, Brazil, Thailand. You don't need to live in these places for 10 years before you can understand something really basic. And I feel like when it comes to talking about women, I think I've been saying it since the introduction of my channel, that you need to understand women's psychology. You need to understand the way women think. And since I've been introduced into the travel space, especially the black side of the travel space, I would have to say that I meet a lot of men that are in competition with each other. They're in competition with me. Like I said, I don't think any of you guys over the age of 40 should be trying to compete with a 29-year-old or a 30-something-year-old. Especially not those of you guys that's in your 50s. You guys almost try to prove to yourself and prove to me that we're competing on the same level. And here's why I would say that's not true. And this is gonna go into the next topics, right? Number one, I've never been married. At this point in time, after traveling for as long as I have and seeing things that I've seen, it might be so that I don't have any interest in being married. It would be nice, if I could find a woman that wasn't, just had just some like different software going on, but it just doesn't feel like I'm gonna find that, because I basically find the same being in every country that I go to. But I meet men that try to convince themselves that because they got on a plane and that they landed inside of another country, that these women are different. They try to convince themselves that maybe the dollar is going to buy some kind of loyalty or desire from women they weren't getting in the States. And this is kind of where I just see a lot of these older dudes that try to school me as just old fools. You haven't learned anything. The divorce, the child support, you losing everything has taught you nothing. And this is one of those kinds of things where you did teach me a lot, and I'm able to basically learn a lot from just watching the way your life is played out. And this is no particular shot at anybody, right? This is just what I'm saying. I've been observing being a traveler. Being a traveler, I don't only run into these women, but I also meet a lot of dudes. I meet a lot of grown men, and they share their experiences with me. And I just wanted to just, cover this because I think it's important to talk about. So point number one, hypergamy is directional, not emotional. I think the phrase women are in business, men are in love, or men are in business. I mean, men are in love, women are in business. I think that's a phrase that men, especially the ones that come to these countries looking to settle down and not be lonely, need to start thinking more about when they're with these women, right? These women, a lot of them in these third world countries like the Philippines, Colombia, Brazil, Thailand, especially Thailand. I see it rampant in Thailand. These women are in a financial dependency. And I talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't know what that is, you should check it out. Check out my video on members. I basically do a breakdown on how when a woman or a person in general does not have their basic needs met and secured, everything they do in a relationship or romantically with another person is to try to satisfy the fact that their needs aren't met. So when you guys are dealing with these women that don't have food security, don't have home security, don't have job security, don't have any kind of security, and you're coming to their country where your dollar stretches far, what do you think attracts her more to you? Do you think it's her love and desire and, you know, her attraction to your beautiful smile? You think it's your humor? You think it's your skin color? Or do you think it's because you provide financial security? And I want you guys to understand this too. Even women that are financially secure will still seek resources or seek a way to elevate themselves. It's called hypergamy. It's present in every living female walking earth, okay? In these countries, because you are superior to their local men, they open the door for you. Because you get a little bit of foreign pussy and you get some affection you weren't getting back home, you assume like, oh my God, you know, like this is just how these women are. It's way different than the West. And in reality, especially now because of social media, and these women in third world countries can see all the kinds of men they can have across the globe, all of them set the same target, way above what's possible for them to have on a day-to-day basis. So for you, even though you're coming and meeting these women as someone who's way more superior, they know or feel like they can do better. Female delusion is never going to elude you, my brother. And that brings me to my second point. I think men are just as delusional as women. Yes, men are just as delusional as women. I have noticed that a lot of men, arguments on the internet, meeting them in person, will convince themselves that the situation that they are in overseas is different. No, you're the guy that has to pay for box. I don't have to pay for box. Or no, you're the guy that's outside tricking. I'm not tricking. Whole time, all of us, to some degree, are being sourced and chosen because we are able to provide something that their local men cannot provide. When you're coming to these countries and you're dealing with these women and you're talking to these women and you're going on dates with these women and you're in relationships with these women, you just naturally acting at your lowest capacity is sometimes the peak of what she's ever seen in her life. And there's no reason why 29-year-old Mosa has to come on the internet and teach you something that you should already know as a grown-ass man. That you don't seem to understand that these women are in business. So now when some of you guys get into these relationships, she butters you up and everything like that, you seem to not understand that in her psychology is to procure security. But she's also hypergamous. So she'll secure you and still desire something else. And the only way that you're gonna keep her for a little bit longer, because you can't ever keep them. They're always being rented. You're never gonna keep them, right? The only way you're going to keep them is if you continuously elevate and become something that she strives to have. And I feel like if a lot more men grew up with the understanding of female nature, right? And they understood the psychology of a woman, they would stop disappointing themselves when they come to these third world countries looking for love. And that's the thing that throws me off. It's like, wait, you think the relationship you guys have is because she loves you? You don't think to any part of it that she's doing this because she needs the security? And do you think that everything you've done for her, she's going to remember that when another guy that could offer more comes along? Oh, now this is where things start becoming hurtful to your feelings as a man, because we seem to forget, for a lot of women, it's not what have you done for me, right? It's what have you done for me lately? That is always the mindset of most women. You find some women that are different. I'm not going to say it's all women. It's not all women, but it's most of them. That's how they think. So you put your blood, sweat, and tears into building up with a woman, expecting her to stay with you just off the principle of the fact that you're a good man, for you to find out that they don't. And there's no incentive for them to do so. If she, especially now, let's focus back on just, women in these third world countries. If she would stop dating her own men to date you, what makes you think she wouldn't stop dating you to go find something better? That should be the first red flag, is when a woman tells you she don't date her own men. Wait, you don't date your own men? You wouldn't even be able to date me if I didn't buy a plane ticket and fly into your country, because you can't come to my country. So how are you even going to find what it is that you're looking for? It's because she's continuously granted opportunities, right? So that brings me to my next point. I think a lot of men are desperate. I think a lot of men coming from the US, coming from the UK, coming from Canada, are coming to these third world countries, and you guys are exposing the fact, unintentionally, of course. I don't even believe you guys are doing this with intention. But you guys are exposing the fact that you're desperate. You are desperate, and a desperate man is easy to take advantage of. It's too easy. It's too easy to take advantage of you, because you're immediately showing that you are willing to give a woman everything she hasn't earned or worked for at all. You guys are too willing to give things to women that they haven't need to work for or earn, right? Men in her own country can't give her these things and don't give her these things, but she expects them from you. And she only expects them from you because she knows you're able to give it. I think men too readily give away their power when they get with these women. Femininity is powerful, man. And I try to tell my female friends back in the States, they would get a lot farther ahead with men if they were more feminine. If they were more feminine and really embraced the power of femininity, because strong men, and most of the men that I think are able to travel and live overseas, you guys are doing what a lot of men can't do. You guys are strong men in terms of the fact that you've put in the time, you've put in the effort, you put in the work to build yourself into the man that you are. You got your retirement, you served in the military, you were educated, you were in finance, whatever the situation is, but femininity grabs a hold of you. And because it's so scarce or so scarce in the US, when you finally come to these countries and you can experience femininity, it takes away all of your common sense, and you guys start committing yourself to relationships with women that their own local men wouldn't even put them in a relationship, simply because we want to feel that ego stroke of having the, like we're more desired. We want to feel needed, and it's it's a delusion, bro. You know what I mean? Like it's a delusion, bro. Women are into you because of the power dynamic y'all have. Stop equalizing the playing field for them because you're giving them the pass to stop desiring you. You marry a girl or you want to be with a woman here, keep her here. You know what America's doing to our woman. It does it to every woman. And the only reason why you come to the Philippines or Thailand or Colombia or DR and the women are not like the women in the States is because they don't have the ability to be like women in the States. If they had the ability, they would. So of course you have upbringings and things like that that might differ, but brother, the software ain't that much different. Google Chrome is not that much different from Firefox, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same software. It's just in different hardwares. It's in a different location. It's still a MacBook at the end of the day. It's still iOS. It's just what version of it are you dealing with, and where in the world are you using that MacBook? Because all those things make a difference, but it doesn't change much. So I would say, number one, stop giving up the power dynamic when you enter these relationships, because you become a walking lick to these women. You become too easy to manipulate, too easy to garner resources from, a green card, security, all types of shit. There's too much desperation for these foreign women. We're too desperate. And I would say we're so desperate, a lot of these women will meet me and they already have an expectation of something that is completely unrealistic from any of their men in this country, because men are too willing to just give it to women. And it's worse when I really get into the nitty-gritty of the fact that the majority of men, and I would say it's really most men. It's not, you know, black or white or Asian or Indian. It's most men from all over the world are doing this for not well kept, educated, in the house women. They're doing this for bro. And that's another thing that's gonna y'all head up when y'all realize, like, the majority of women that you're dealing with, because you're in these places for a short time and you're gonna go to places where you're gonna get the fastest reaction possible. That's the fact of the matter. Now, if you know that you're getting into it with a freelancer or a working woman, I don't knock you. I'm not judging niggas for none of that, because I understand sometimes you just want to have fun, you want to vibe, you're not trying to get into this whole trying to court a woman in these countries. Before you niggas, you know who you are, that get on this internet talking about how niggas is tricking, niggas is this, niggas is that, and you're doing something different for providing for a, and then you become surprised when this has no loyalty to you and jumps to another man as soon as a bigger bag comes your way, and then you try to feel like you got one up on the next man because this woman is now doing the same things or a little bit more for you than she was for the last guy. You like, yeah, bro, that's because you didn't do this for her, but I'm doing this for her. Nigga, the same way you got them is how you lose them. Remember that. The same way you got them is how you lose them, bro. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm definitely going to make a part 2 to this. I think it's definitely something that I want to talk about and kind of share my thoughts on. Like I said, like I'm really just overseas enjoying myself, learning about culture, enjoying the, you know, good weather, cheaper cost of living and things like that. But I'm very pragmatic with what I'm going through. And it's not to say to find love and find a good woman is impossible. It's just highly unlikely. Stay tuned for the next video. I think we're going to go into go in on that, especially when it comes to being in Thailand. That's definitely a conversation. Peace.